How's it going, my friends? It's Carpo here, and I was just going through some old writings. I found this old journal, and I wanted to write this, to read this little thing I wrote. I haven't actually proofread it first, but I wrote it a few years ago, and I thought it would be appropriate. Kind of always relevant to an extent. So bear with me, if you will. We're all a little bit loopy, all a little critical, all a little cynical, all a bit stubborn in our own ways. I've been accused of being a religious nut by atheists. I've also been accused of being an atheist by religious nuts. The ongoing battle between science and religion has no place in my life, as far as taking sides. I am open enough to admit that science cannot answer all of our questions, yet honest enough with myself to realize that religion cannot answer them either, at least not to my satisfaction. For many, this problem has led them to New Age practices, for lack of a better term. Old formulas, revisited, repackaged, and repeated. And many of them create a rich life for the person, giving them hope and happiness, something often in short supply. But often there is a negative side to it, such as when the person becomes so convinced that they know the truth, they become dismissive of all other ideas, even ridiculing science. I've been accused of being uneducated by scientists. I've also been accused of being overeducated by those opposed to science. I've been told that I read too many books, and that I haven't read enough. The extreme views from both sides are the very thing that keep me focused on the balance of thought. Nothing is as simple as right and wrong when it is dissected carefully. All sides want to think they have it figured out. It's in our nature. But when one leans too far in one direction, they are bound to fall over. If one side was actually complete in their truth, it would be observable in their behavior and lifestyle. One of the biggest signs to me that someone lacks conviction in their heart is when they defend their point with hubris and arrogance. Not always. Sometimes it is due to neuroplasticity, or the way our brains are wired according to how we perceive the world. We really do program ourselves by behavior and belief, and begin to see patterns that we intend to see. We wire ourselves. This is why people can believe something so intensely, even in the light of evidence to the contrary. We are wired to ignore things that may conflict with what we think we know. It is something we are either born with or develop over years. Breaking the paradigm is harder than just changing your mind. It is a process, like everything else. It takes careful analysis of our intentions, our thoughts, and our actions. Over time, one is able to see their true nature and act in order to improve upon it. This is integrity. But integrity for the average person often involves assimilation into a new society devoid of self-reflection. We have made self-awareness a selling point, not a way of life. Society celebrates diversity, so long as it conforms to the standards. We all want to be respected by our peers, whether we admit it or not. To think otherwise would be a lack of integration. But as the person reflects more and more, he finds himself often alone in his beliefs and convictions, and separates himself from those with lesser values, or at least that is how it appears at first. Over a lifetime of searching, a person can convince himself that he has finally found that one truth, and all else is merely illusion. This is where we lose touch with one another. To me, this shows that not just a belief in religion, but even a belief in righteous values, can drive a person to a superiority complex. We are hardwired to find our tribe, and no matter how independently we may feel we are, we each need each other to survive. So as we grow, our peer groups get smaller and smaller until we are left more or less alone in our ideals. And this is where it gets scary. Because no matter how right we may be, if the idea is lost to the masses, it needs to be reformulated. So many great ideas about how to live have been presented, but without the people to implement it and the education to preserve it, we fall back out of grace. So it's a societal issue as much as a personal plight. As a species, we will never attain a higher state of mind if we cannot show others why to change their thinking. Leading by example is only useful if the observed result is one people can use. Merely telling a person, "You will be happier if you believe or do X," will never suffice. Beliefs and ideals cannot be forced on one another. Whether out of fear of hell, fear of imprisonment, or fear of death, the will of man must be honed, developed, and cannot be broken when a man is true of heart. So religious leaders, gurus, teachers, idealists, and truth seekers alike. Let us use our past failings to develop an understanding, remove the barriers, and create a better reality now, so the children of our future don't remember us as the age of arrogance. Namaste.